Welcome to the Being Dad podcast, our weekly chat around parenting and mental health. My name is Pete. I've been married to Emma for 11 years and we have a son named Frank who is 6 years old.
I'm Ian. I'm married to Catherine for 6 years, I think. I'm going to have to double check this. I think it's 6 years. I've got two daughters, one called Kira, who is 3, and one called Rosie, who is 1.
Hi, I'm Barrie. I'm 44. I've got 3 children, 2 sons. One's 24, one's 22, and a daughter who's 21.
Wow. Thanks, Barrie. Yeah, this week we've got our good friend and fellow mentor, Barrie. This week we're going to talk around managing responsibilities and how we prioritize things while juggling modern life, parenting, and self-care. Barrie, can you give us some examples of how you have managed to juggle your life and parenting?
When I was younger, when my kids were younger, obviously I've just said their ages, it was a struggle. It was a case of, I'd go to work and then come home, and it was constant. There was like no switch off, and sleep was a blessing if I could ever get it. My youngest is 21, so I'm going back 20 odd years. It was a case of I just got on with it, and there was no help like what we've got here. When I look back, like something like this would have been so beneficial, like for myself. I was under the cosh. I was, on my own, and I was fighting against it all the time. Like, it was a constant cycle of trying to get some sleep in there and doing everything else.
You said then, Barrie, you were sort of fighting against it. What's that it you feel like you were fighting against? And you obviously got through it as well, and you've now got three adult kids who, in our chats you can't stop singing the praises of pretty 95% of the time, but we won't speak about the 5%. You sing the praises of them. We can we can all tell you love them. So how did you get through that? And and what were you actually fighting against?
I was fighting against the fact that I was in a relationship, and I don't mean this is like a 70s phrase, a breadwinner, probably even 50s phrase. I was a breadwinner, doing everything, but the mum wasn't. She was there, but she wasn't there, if you know what I mean. So that's what I was fighting against in regards to that. And I was also fighting against that generation. I was fighting against, and that kind of, we are men, we don't let it show.
Did that make you judge yourself harshly for feeling that you were struggling? Were you also, your internal judgment voice, was that there as well, going, you shouldn't be struggling with this, you should be coping better?
Yeah. It's like, why should I be soft? And it's a horrible feeling, and I understand like why people doubt themselves, because you can't process it, because the most powerful thing we've got as humans is our minds. And once you aren't controlling your own mind, you start to doubt so much, and it can spiral out of control.
Yeah,
it's a horrible thing.
Yeah.
What I would say as well is that the mind is such a powerful thing, but it's also a caveman mind, and we live in a 21st century world sometimes.
Yeah.
Where our brain would not understand how the heck are we actually doing this. It takes a while. Especially with the way that technology moves nowadays. What were you doing, either intentionally or otherwise, to actually sort of relieve your pressure? Or were you actually just really brute forcing it all that way for, until things in your life actually improved?
It's a wing and a prayer.
In
all honesty. This kind of thing, a group like that we're involved with, would have helped so much to me, because I just had to. I had nowhere to turn. I didn't have like a support network. I didn't have a support network. Yeah. So I was kind of just having to, like I said, wing and prayer it. And something like this would have helped me so much, because you could have had that. I could have had that outlet to speak to people, to say like, look, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that.
Yeah.
Whether it be financially, whether it be emotionally, whether it be mentally, whatever, just some kind of outlet there for me to go like, this is me, this is my problem. Can we talk?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's my default setting when I'm under stress is I kind of just go into survival mode, and then it's only weeks, months later it starts to impact me, and then I start to have periods of depression or periods of anxiety, and I'm kind of like, well, what's going on? I don't. Where's this come from? And it's to do with all the stuff that I've just been burying.
It's been following you around.
Yeah.
I used to visualize it myself. It's like when I realized what was going on with me, anxiety and depression and stuff, like which I like really kicked in a few years ago. It's like you're driving a wagon and you're just throwing stuff in the back of it, and then suddenly you realize it's all there behind you and it's coming at you, and it hits you big time.
That's a really good analogy, that is, mate.
I do, yeah. I really like that.
Yeah.
When it hits you, you know, it's really, really difficult to get through.
Yeah, and it's overpowering because there's so much of it coming at you that you push to the back.
Yeah, you don't know what to do. Like, and like again, hopefully this kind of stuff we're doing, will give people, young dads, old dads, any dads, help if they need it. Best thing you can ever do for your children is spend time with them as much as you can. Obviously, you have to work, you have to do this, you have to do that. The more time you can spend with them, the better, because we've only got a finite time on this planet. Spend as many minutes and seconds as you can with them, even if it's just a phone call, even if it's just Zoom call, whatever. Just spend whatever time you can.
When your kids were kids, what was that thing that they loved to do with you?
We had these, you know, the pop-up tents. You know the kinds of mean. They got little tunnels into another tent.
Yes.
Yeah. They wanted me to set them up so they could sit in the garden and do that. And all they wanted me to do was sit on the step while they were playing with their friends. Sit there, have a cup of tea, and they were sat just running in and out of these, laughing and joking. That's all they wanted. I mean, one of my best memories growing up, so I'd have been about 10, and 4 of us, we went down in a red Ford of Iron down to Weymouth and spent a week there in a caravan. It's the best holiday I've ever had. But it's one of them, we didn't do anything, but we did everything, if you know what I mean. We spent time as a family.
So what is the free, the things that your son, you and your son love to do together that's inexpensive or it's even free? And as well, like the holidays you've kind of gone that are, again, relatively cheap in the UK, caravan park, something like that, or even just a day out.
Love it. If you've done I'm going to be honest, that's my absolute go-to off-script, free-form jazz days, we call it, where there's no agenda. I'm really good with that because I'm like a big kid anyway. So me and Frank will just we'll pack some snacks and some drinks in a bag, and then we'll just go. And that can either be like, we're lucky because we don't live too far away from Crosby Beach and Formby Beach, and we just go there and run up and down the sand dunes and just get wet and just get soaked, stuff like that. Anything that involves me and him just running around getting mucky.
You just jog my memory with that, and it's not to do with going to the beach. It's when I was a kid. My dad's a train spotter. He grew up in the steam generation, and I used to just tag along mainly for the packed lunch. But it was that spending time with the day, watching the trains blast through. But it was that kind of spending time with him. Yeah, I'm starting to stuff with sausage rolls and butties, but I'm spending time with my dad. While he's doing something he loves, and I'm with him.
You know, I've got a theory on this. It doesn't matter about the specifics of it. It's the fact, the energy that you share with your dad, and your dad in that space is a happy person, which then makes you feel happy about that memory. Whereas a lot of some people, myself included, my dad was very stressed and angry most of the time. So the good stuff, like when we go and kick a football around the park, or we'd go out for the day as a family, that was my dad in a happy place. So they're good memories for me. So that's really important, is that, like you said, it doesn't matter how big the activity is. It's more about you being in that moment, happy to be with your kid. And I think that's a really, really important point, that is.
Well, that's taught me something I didn't. I love doing these chats, because
when you do an activity that you know your parent enjoys, you're kind of getting a glimpse into the real person. Then we all have different interests, and I think for me, before I had Frank, I was very into music. I played in bands. I used to go and watch music all the time. It was a big part of my life and my identity and who I thought I was, or how I felt about myself. And when that stopped, obviously there's that side of it, and then there's the side where you don't get a chance to express yourself or go and see your friends. Or the last couple of years, I started to allow myself to have an interest again, to be purposeful for my own benefit. And I've realized that's really important. It's important for Frank to see that I have interests, that I am into stuff, and I have value as a person outside of just being a dad. I mean, if you got any advice, my next question for you was, what would you give if you could go back and talk to the younger Barrie at that point? What you've learned in these few years?
Don't have kids.
What would you? Don't have kids.
Unfortunately, mate, it's too late for us all. I understand why you would say that. I do say a perfectly rational man does not have virtually rational person does not have kids.
No.
Oh, if I could give advice to myself, it's an hard one, isn't it? It's like, don't lose yourself is the main thing. That's one thing I would say, is like, don't lose yourself. No. Don't lose the things you love.
It's important to top yourself up, isn't it? Because what we realize is when we top ourselves up, we're a better, happier version of ourselves. So we can be a more connected and happier dad, and a better connected, happier husband. And it's all very important to us.
Do you know what I remember saying to one of my friends who's not got kids? I don't think he'll ever have kids. But I remember saying to him before my first was born, I said, I don't know what's going to happen, but I do want to still be your friend when I find the time. So do keep on asking me to go to stuff, and I promise you I'll come when I can. But I don't know what my life's going to be like when all this happens.
That's one question I've got for you as an older dad, because in a way I'm like, wow, Ian just said you can't walk those two paths. And I feel like, well, Barrie kind of has, because you've done the serious responsibility stuff, and now they're kind of independent. So you can't, like, we're roughly the same age. So you can now go back to being, I'll please myself again. I'll do what I like again. My kids are kind of all right. So in a way, there are benefits to having kids young then.
It's like, that's how it gets. It's like, you get from having these little things that you're looking after, you're doing everything for, and then when they get older, you're like, and you become best of mates. I mean, our Jordan is my best friend.
I feel like that's because you invested wholeheartedly when they were young. You know, like your friend who gave you that advice and said, look, the money will come and go, but basically you've got to just put all the love into those kids and make them feel safe and make them feel that you care.
Maybe, I don't know. Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah,
I'd like to think they've done a little bit of it themselves as well. The human they've become is from themselves.
Yeah, that's nice. That's humble. I think we should probably wrap up. We've been going on for ages now, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
But Ian, is there anything you want to add, or Barrie, is there anything you want to just say, summarize, or anything like that?
You go first, Barrie.
Yeah, just if anyone's like ever feeling like they're struggling or they need someone to talk to, get in touch with the NCT, get in touch with everybody. even if it's not us, get in touch with somebody, because there's people out there to help you, like ourselves, like other groups. You know, we're all here to help. Nobody wants to go through this. We've all been through bad times, and we're all here to help.
One thing I've really kind of relearned after today is the best things in life are free.
Mhm.
And, you know, that connection with your kids and just being that one-on-one time with them, it's free. It don't cost anything. You just have to put your phone down and go sit down on the floor next to them and just take it from there.
I think that I'm going to take that home, is that just keep investing in the fun stuff, the free fun stuff.
Yeah.
It's absolutely priceless.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff your kids are going to remember when they're adults and they're telling stories about how much fun they had with their dad. That's the stuff they're going to remember.
Yeah.
And then like Barry, you can just be best mates with your kids then. So it all comes around. Thank you very much, Barry. You've been incredible. You've been a wonderful guest. Thanks for being on Being Dad. Thanks for watching, everyone. If there's anything that we've talked about that has struck a chord, then please do get in touch, and look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you very much.